I'm Glad by Jennifer Lopez. Paul Oakenfold music. This song is definitely one of those that will be forever tied to an event. And that event is meeting my soulmate. You see, we were set up by a couple of friends. The place of our arranged meeting was a local bar. I'd been going there for years, and well, so had she. So we were both comfortable in the location, but had never actually met. I think we, my friend and I, got there a little early. Or maybe it just felt early because the entire night seemed to go very, very slowly. Probably because of the nervousness that was surrounding me. I actually tried to leave on several occasions because I was scared. I didn't need to open myself up to being rejected again. I'd been out of a marriage for a few years by that point, and had no luck finding someone special. But my stubborn friend would constantly drag me back inside. At one point, he left for a moment, but only after making me swear that I would not leave the table. He returned a few minutes later and made a point of pointing towards a table with a young lady sitting with her back to me. There appeared to be an older guy leaning over trying to engage her in conversation. Her body language, again, I could only see her from the back, told me that she was not interested at all. So I agreed to get her a drink. I called the waitress over and ordered a rev for the lady. Anyone observing my ordering would have seen an awkward guy clumsily gesturing towards another table, all while trying to look inconspicuous. The drink arrived a few minutes later. She turned her head to scan the room to see which old guy was trying to pick her up now. I gestured a small hello. She held my look for a second, and then got up and came my way. I quickly turned to my friend and said I felt sick and needed to leave. Well, he laughed. The next thing I know, this beautiful woman with sparkling green eyes and a killer smile was introducing herself to me. We started to do the first date small talk. I think my friend may have left to meet his girlfriend at that point, but in all honesty, I was too busy being entranced to notice. I was stunned to discover that she knew what anime was. Back then, I think it was pretty rare to find a girl who knew what anime was and, well, actually what Akira was. But this girl not only knew what it was, but she had watched some too. We chatted about our love for Ranma One Half for what seemed to be hours, but in actuality was probably about 20 minutes. While we talked, my eyes washed over her. I took in her wonderful body as any man would. But it was her infectious smile that seemed to shine while we chatted. Her eyes had some kind of spell over me. They seemed to glisten and sparkle in the bar's dim lighting. And I found myself doing something I hadn't done in a long time. Smiling. I know. Most people smile at least a little bit every day. And while that's true, that I probably did do that too, but at that exact moment, I was smiling because I was genuinely happy. My buddy came back after a while and made a suggestion. Why didn't we all go back to his place to drink cheaper and hang out? I knew I had to work the next afternoon, and while I was trying to figure out if I could work with the less than optimal sleep, my companion said sure. I knew at that time, at that place, I would follow her anywhere. As we all headed out of the bar, a realization flashed across my brain. I'm diabetic. Now that's not something I ever lead with, especially when meeting new people. But if I'm going to go over to a friend's house for most of the night, or the way he tells it, a sleepover, I was going to need my insulin. I internally cringed as I told everyone that I needed to get insulin from my place. I lived fairly close to the bar, so I wouldn't be too long. I looked over at my date and, well, I seemed to pause. I actually didn't, but at the time, that's what it felt like. Here I was telling a beautiful woman that she needed to come back to my house to get insulin. It sounded so fake and cheesy. She immediately suggested that we go and pick up the stuff together so that we could talk a little bit more. Inside, I was leaping with glee. This incredibly beautiful woman wanted to spend more time with me? I abruptly told my friends that we'd meet them there and turned and walked in the other direction towards my place. It was a brisk night. After all, it was the beginning of November. She grabbed my arm while we made our way the 5 blocks to my bachelor pad. We talked, joked, and laughed, and smiled the entire way. I led her to my doorway when I stopped dead in my tracks. My thoughts were racing. Oh, shit, I was going to blow this. I hadn't told her that I have 2 young kids. mean, they were living with my ex, but still. And what my age was. I was older than my friend, and, well, I was pretty scared that this amazing woman wouldn't want to be seen with an old guy like me. She almost ran into me when I stopped. With the key in the door, I turned around, my heart sinking, as I knew what was going to happen next. I told her about my 2 kids and my age. Without missing a beat, she said, "Yeah, and so?" and turned the key and walked into my place. I stumbled in what was kind of a dazed shock. I showed her the pictures of my kids on my walls and started to perform the act of, well, awkward small talk. That small talk extended for a while until we realized that we had told my friend that we would meet up at his place. We looked at each other and both agreed that we were having too much fun. Way more fun talking than we thought we could ever have at my buddy's place. So that's what we did. We learned about each other. I discovered that this wonderful woman shared similar interests. She also loved video games. We talked about her first console, the PlayStation 2. Hours crept by, and the fact that I worked the next afternoon never once entered my head. I was captivated. We ended up crashing out for a little bit while I was trying to show her the anime Vampire Hunter D. It was the first time that I'd ever woken up with a smile on my face. I mean, sure, my back was killing me, and so was hers, as I learned when I touched her shoulder to wake her up. We continued our conversation while the morning entered into our eyes. Now, I know that most women would complain that they look bad or messy first thing in the morning, but not her. She looked like a morning angel, shining in the sunlight pouring through my living room window. Of course, I didn't tell her any of that. I really didn't want her to know how far she had burrowed into my heart. She left soon after that. She seemed a little bit concerned about her brother, what he might have said. She was supposed to end up at his place the night before. We kissed and parted ways, the promise of our reunion lingering in our minds as we parted. And me? Well, I went to work. This song was playing on my MP3 player as I walked to work that Saturday afternoon. It made me smile and marvel at the quirky sense of humor that the universe seemed to have on that day. A coworker stopped me while he saw me working and asked if I was feeling okay. I got annoyed. What? Why would you ask that? Well, he said earnestly, "You've been smiling since you got here." And I thought, well, you may have had a mental breakdown. I mean, no one is smiling as much as you are right now. I mean, we're all at work. I looked away as I snarled a quiet, "Fuck off." I didn't want anyone to see my smile grow even bigger. So this song will always remind me of the woman that became my soulmate. The smile that scared my coworkers, and the glee of my first true, real love. Thanks for listening to a story that fell out of my head. This one's being posted close to our 18th anniversary, so I guess I am living proof that love really exists. If you're in love, or if you want to share how you met your soulmate, please let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing a happy story. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.